Dispatch, we're en route. I mean, we're in service.
You just can't say en route. Can't say en route. It's trademarked, remember?
Yeah, you can't say
I can
it.
say what the hell I want.
I mean, I guess you can.
I'm not saying this is the en route podcast, but we're definitely en route for something.
2181, engine 14, engine 4, squad 1, truck 1, structure fire.
We got West Fire out on a fire at the West Fertilizer plant. They just advised that something exploded there.
Michigan Oak, motorcycle accident, unknown injuries, Honor 1902.
Do we got like intro music or something to decipher?
How's everybody's day?
Yeah.
Some of us worked yesterday, so I was kind of tired when I got off.
Oh, really? Were you tired from running all the calls then?
Yeah. I mean,
There was a car on the wrong side of the road, almost got into a head-on collision with us. And I swerved the engine like hardcore
How?
to the right. Huh?
how'd you swerve it?
Hardcore.
Hardcore. All right, well, welcome to episode 3, right? This is 3? Yeah.
Yes, this is the...
Okay. Welcome to episode, man, when it gets to like 32, I'm going to be like, I'm lost. But episode 3, the Engine Company podcast, we are excited that you're here today and that we have 2 guests. Real quick, just our sponsors. So if you see these glasses kind of sitting in front of you, this is Frontline Optics. They are made for first responders and by first responders. They make awesome glasses, and part of their proceeds go to kids that have lost parents in the line of duty. And if you pay $12, you can get a new set of glasses, no questions asked if they break or anything like that. So Frontline Optics. Another sponsor that we have is Salty Ladder Company. It's a firefighter-owned company. He makes graphics, anything you want. He made our graphic that you see over there. He also is making us a flag and some shirts and stuff like that. He makes you stickers. Pretty much, if you can think about it, he can make it. So hit him up at Salty Ladder.
He's also coming out with some athletic wear, too.
Oh, nice.
Repping
Is that what you got? Showing them guns.
That's why you're looking so buff.
So
Dude,
buff.
shut up. Dude, stop, I'm married.
Oh, I forgot.
Stop.
All right.
Stop.
So, but yeah, we're excited that we got Lieutenant Blake Wilson and Captain Larry Yaws with us today.
Larry Jaws.
Larry Jaws. So we're going to let them introduce themselves and kind of tell just a little bit why they got into the service and whatever they want to talk about. So whichever one of y'all wants to speak first, go for it.
My name's Blake Wilson, like Rustin just said. I've been a firefighter now for almost 8 years. Been a lieutenant for 2, I think, something like that. I started my career in, I don't even know how long ago it's been, 11 years ago, as a paramedic with ambulance service in Amarillo. After that, I went through the fire academy and got on, and then a short time went by and I went through the police officer academy and been a peace officer now for 5 years. I think that's really about it in a nutshell.
Yeah.
And you're here now.
And you're here now.
Here I am.
So you have officially chosen that a fire service was the way to go. You've done all 3 of them, and you would say yes.
Yes,
Triple
most
threat.
definitely. Most definitely. This is the way to go.
Anyway, cool. Cap?
I'm not near that cool.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, I started in the fire service back in 2006 and as a volunteer.
Once again, we have no idea what we're doing here.
Anyway, I started
Just winging it.
in 2006 as a volunteer and went through the fire academy in 2008 and then on to EMT. Volunteered for a long time and then got a chance to be paid with our department, and that was been a life-changing experience. So pretty grateful for that, and that's about the story of my career.
How many years total?
18.
18.
What was
Sorry.
your rank from leaving volunteer coming over to the paid side?
I was a volunteer captain, and then I went to firefighter.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I just want to kind of jump into things with you guys. So kind of just a backstory of like why we're having these 2 guests. First of all, they're mentors of ours. They're our officers on me and Rustin's shift. The dynamic between the two, I mean, are great. Y'all are in for a show. The big thing we want to see, or we wanted to talk about, was we have a slightly older generation of company officer to the new generation, right?
Slightly older.
Slightly.
A lot of different challenges from point A to point B.
Yeah.
Hey,
like-
what age did you lose your hair?
I don't
I
think
don't know,
that
because
we
it's
need
always-
to talk about baldness in this
It's
podcast.
it's always been short. This is no kidding, since we're just going to go down that rabbit hole. My granddad took me to get my first haircut before I was out of diapers, and like last week. No, but he took me to get a haircut, and my mom was a little PO'd at him because I came back and she said looking like a peeled onion, and it kind of stuck. So, and then
So
it
she just kept going with that.
just riding that shit. to
In
the bottom
spite
edge.
of your father, or
No, just
just because it looked good on you?
It was the style. Back then.
no.
He
it-
seemed to like it. But he still got it.
it's all about
Still repping that onion, baby.
Doing it.
It's all about. Just call me Vidalia. It's all about the ease, but it's something that I've grown up with. I just like short hair. At one point in my life, before I became a firefighter, I was telling them they don't believe me, but I had a goatee like down to here, and hair over my collar. I mean, I was a real true hippie. So
Whoa, nice.
not really, but I did have that. So it was a short time lived. Then I became a firefighter, and that changed. So it's just easy.
If you are going to
So
talk
sorry to
quiet, I
interrupt
do
you.
need you to right here.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, thank you
Yep.
very much.
Well, I'll
See how
start out
many
with the
times-
first question. So, talking about a lot of things changed when you first joined the fire service, right? So, y'all had different experiences leading up to that point. How would you describe your time as a rookie and like first getting in? Whoever wants to go.
I'll go.
Thank you.
So when I first broke in as a volunteer back in 2006, it was kind of a dream come true because my granddad was a volunteer firefighter when he was younger, and something I always wanted to do. So I was kind of a sponge. I spent way too much time at the fire station and not enough time at home, but that's another story. And so I soaked it all up, and about 3 years later, I got promoted to lieutenant, but I just tried to soak it all up and do everything I could to learn. You mentioned something the other night on your last episode that you get into the fire service, you didn't realize there was as much schooling or learning.
Yeah.
And man, you weren't kidding. That kind of resonated with me because you think, oh, I'm gonna get on a truck, I'm gonna pull this thing off the truck, and I'm gonna squirt water at this fire, and it's gonna go out. And
Just
it's
a knuckle dragging fire.
Yeah, I mean, barely, and there's so much more to it. And then they throw this fire science word at you. Now it's fire dynamics, but I'm like, I'm not a scientist. I mean, I don't know how to do that stuff. But anyway, became a sponge. And then when I moved to our department, I was a volunteer there as well. And same thing. But then we got paid, and that was a whole different deal for me because volunteer and paid, it's a little different. But I was doing it every day, and I felt like I had higher expectations of me, and so just tried to show up every morning. I tried to beat the officer and be that guy that got there, and I like coffee, so I would try to get the coffee made and start checking trucks and stuff.
Did you feel like that expectation was different just because, on the volunteer side, that's kind of not 100% of your dedication? I mean, obviously you have your family, your wife at home, but when you come on as paid, did you feel like there was more of that, more of your time dedicated and effort into that? That's why it was different?
Definitely, because this was my career now, and it was new to me, but it was also a dream come true to actually do this for a living.
Full time.
Right.
Yeah.
And these guys didn't know, and I'd only been there a short time, but I had a lot of respect for them. And coming in, I was 47 years old when I started as a rookie with our department. So I kind of felt like I was under the microscope a little bit. So I just felt like I needed to work harder. And then one of the, I can't remember if I was paid or volunteer, but I met this guy, and he helped me overcome some stuff, and that kind of really knocked kicked off my respect for him, and it hasn't let off. I mean, I hope he doesn't get the big head now that I'm telling him how I feel. But you know, I'll never forget. I was struggling with something. He was like, "Hey, you know, I'm here to help you, but you have to know that you can do it." You know, we've had this conversation before, and that was just huge because I was doing something that I didn't like. Still don't really care for it, but I know I can do it. But I had this guy and one of our other lieutenants right there in my ear going, "Hey, man, you're not going to die. We're not going to let that happen."
Right.
And that was huge.
That's
and
cool.
That was probably the highlight of my rookie time was that and building that relationship. Then I got to work with him on a crew, so that was even better.
Yeah.
And the story began, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Well, nice.
What about you, Lieutenant?
So for me, really, as a rookie, I think the biggest thing that I tried to do coming in was just like Larry said, was just be a sponge and soak up everything that I could and try my very best every single day, 100% to learn something every day, whether that was something very small and didn't really amount to a whole lot around the station life or whatever the case may be, but it was really more of like I don't even know how to put it into words. It was just that inside of me, I just had that yearning or that longing to be the best that I could be,
The
no
drive.
matter what that was. Yeah. So that's really just how I approached every single day as a new firefighter, was to try to soak in and take as much as I could, but you know how that is, that information overload that you have.
Right.
Just in your first year, even still today, just everything being thrown at you, and well, you could do it this way or you could do it this way, and it might still get you the same place, and just trying to keep all that information somewhat relevant. But really, I think the biggest thing for me as a rookie was trying to find that one person, the person who, like, you could just look at them and know that they have all their stuff together. And like, I wanted to emulate, or whatever the correct word is, but to be just like that.
Right.
So, and I just was striving to do that every day. So
That's cool. I like that you say learn something every day, whether that's small or big. And that's one thing that really means a lot to this department, to me. And when I was going through all that, is I had everybody ask me, "What'd you learn today? What is something that you learned today?" And yeah, you would learn a whole lot, but I would love to pick out those things that I've really learned and that stuck with me. And so I think that's really cool that our department is really good at asking that question.
Yeah.
So
Well, and it's like if you're not asked that question a lot, because coming to this department from another, when you are asked that question, it's like, I know that you've learned a ton of things, but then when someone does actually ask that, then you're like, oh man. Then trying to pinpoint just one thing, because when you first do get on, and especially how we train, and like we're just bam, 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 our new guys, it's not just one thing every day.
Right.
I mean, you're going to learn a lot.
Yeah.
You know, something that was hard too, and I know you two probably experienced it, was coming from another department. You have a little bit of knowledge and some experience, and you want to be really careful how you I hate to say act, that's not the word I'm looking for, but how you are, because you don't want to be looking at a know-it-all or cocky or whatever. So it's kind of hard. It was kind of a balancing act to not try to be something, just be a rookie. And it was kind of nice too, because when I came from the department, I'd been an officer, and I come here, it was kind of nice just to climb in the back seat and do fireman stuff. I mean, that's the cool thing. I mean, what gets me into trouble now is I just want to be a fireman sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think we all do.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, for sure. You want to do the next one?
Yeah. So, as a company officer and being in charge of a crew and being in charge for that day, have you seen a difference in maybe past to present how you train your new rookies?
for me, no, because it hasn't been very long.
Right.
But
Right.
I would say really the biggest thing, just in general with training new guys, is trying to get them to understand the why behind what we're doing. And it just, to me, it makes a whole lot more sense when I understand why I'm doing something instead of that's just what I was told to do. So really, that's the big thing for me. And just like he brought up just a minute ago, and getting him through his struggles and trying to overcome the adversity that he was dealing with within himself. And it's just trying to find that drive, just like he said earlier, inside of him. And I got to dig around and see if I can find it somewhere. But that's really my whole goal. But I don't think it's really changed in my short time as an officer. No.
Yeah. I mean, because trying to find that why in somebody, somebody's gonna learn 8 different ways from 8 different people, and if you don't know why they're teaching you 8 different ways, then you're just gonna get lost in that information. And so I think that's cool.
Yeah. Do you have a specific way of like trying to connect with that new person to try to find their drive?
I wouldn't say a specific way, no, but really I think it's just building a relationship with them to understand who they are as a person, because just the story between the two of us and the short little time that we've been talking here is we come from vast different backgrounds, so just taking the time to get to know them and get to know who this individual is and what they've done in their life or where they came from in their life, and just building that, it sounds weird to say this, but that intimacy with that individual to kind of relate to them a little bit better, because you know where they came from.
Right.
That's cool.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah.
Larry's just over there listening.
Yeah, he's got the comfy chair
Yeah.
tonight.
So I think going back to when I first started as an officer and training newer guys, the mistake that I made then was I had a certain idea of the way I wanted things done, and I didn't get a chance I didn't take the chance or the opportunity to get to know the people before. And I was like, well, we got to do this, and if you can't get it done, then we got to figure something else out for you. And so I went a lot of my career like that, and then when I came over here, the whole dynamic was different. And not to say that was bad dynamic at all. I still love those guys, but when I came here, the way y'all were and the way y'all treated me made me realize that I just need to build a relationship with these people and get to know who they are, because we see it every day. They're more than half my age, and they're different. You have to teach them different, and like you said, the why. I was thinking about that coming over here. When we learn the why, we answer the questions why, it makes the how so much easier. So I think like teaching them the how or the why. This is why we do it, rather than saying, hey, we're gonna grind two baskets of coffee tonight. We're gonna put a tub of water there before we go to bed. Well, why do we do that? Well, because I don't want to get up and make coffee in the morning, or that's just why we do it. We just do it this way.
Right.
Explain it. It's like, oh, he's just a crazy old man, but I don't.
Yep.
Here we go.
We do it every night.
Yeah.
I thought it was because we didn't want to wake everybody up.
No, it's because I'm usually the first one up, and I walk in
Yeah.
there, and I have like one eye open and one eye going this way, and my hair's all a mess, and
Okay.
and I just want to go brush my teeth and come drink coffee, and I don't want to have to deal with making it. So but that's why. I think just teaching them the why,
Yeah.
and that was the biggest thing for me. Is this is why we do it, and building a relationship, like
Yeah.
you said. That's
Well, I think me and Rustin, we just had a conversation at the fire station the other day of like, I worked with a guy that was like, he called me in and he was like, hey, what is this? And he was like pointing at the sink, and I'm like, I'm looking for like dishes I missed or something, but it's empty, right? And I'm just like, okay. And he's like, there's water all over the sink. And I was like, I thought that's what the sink's for. Like, that's what I'm thinking. I didn't say that, but I was just like,
Right.
I apologize for that. And at the time, I didn't know why.
Yeah.
I was just like, this is dumb. Like, why is he calling me out on this? Like, they call me out on all this stuff. Like, water in the sink. But, then you can kind of read deeper into it yourself. And it's just he was just wanting me to take responsibility for everything and do everything the best that you can. When you finish washing dishes, like dry out the sink.
Yeah.
Like make it look nice. Make it look better than how you found it.
Right. Yeah.
Right? And then I find myself doing that later on in my career, just not even thinking about it. And then our rookie, I've noticed that he started doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just kind of something like that. He doesn't know the why.
Yeah.
But I kind of just reading deeper into it. That was the why. It's just I never got told it.
Yeah.
But at the time, I was just like, this is okay.
Got them hard water stains.
Yeah, disgusting.
Yeah.
So do you think if you would have had a set of expectations when you were a rookie, if you were I expect you to do this and this is why, you
Right.
think that would have helped? Or
I think those expectations were there. I just think that a young guy coming in that doesn't know that culture doesn't know that expectation, you know? So if you grow up never having to wipe out the water out of a sink, you know, what would make you start then, you know?
Yeah.
I think it was there. It's just kind of not a spoken thing. And that's just like everything in the fire service, traditional wise, is like there's a lot of just unspoken things that you just don't do or you do, you know?
Right. Yeah.
I've never done that. I don't think I ever will.
I thought you were smelling at me because of the doo-doo.
Shut up, man.
we're so immature.
I kind of
You
wanted
thought of
to.
it too, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to ask the same question, but kind of reword it. So, training guys when y'all were firefighters, you know, as a senior guy to these new guys coming in, training them, and then now training them as a company officer, what's different? If any.
I think really now, from being a senior guy and training a new guy to being the company officer, now my expectation has changed to I'm kind of going to step back and let my senior guy do it, so that he has those repetitions and the understanding of how to explain this to somebody who doesn't know it or has only gone over it in the academy or whatever, and now he's getting the repetition of being able to dive into the whys and stuff like that with somebody, and gives him the opportunity to also build a relationship with the new person and can just grow the people behind me. That's really the biggest thing. So to sum it all up,
I agree 100% with that. I think that from my perspective, being a little bit older, maybe have some experience, but man, you guys are brilliant when it comes to teaching. Y'all have your kind of niche, and I think that y'all are better suited than I am, you know, on my crew to teach. I mean, I can share plenty of life stuff, but y'all have so much knowledge to share, and then building that relationship where that young person will come to you before it comes to me, because y'all are able to fix things on a different level. You know, sure, we can have those conversations, but it's just so much better to have that relationship between the two or three of y'all.
Yeah.
And then we can step back and just kind of observe and then put our 2 cents in. And but I just think it's all about the relationship that y'all can build.
Right.
And it's really fun to watch. And I know to see a guy, I mean, like your senior guy, I mean, we worked with him. He was like, I'm never getting in a leadership role. I'm going to sit in the back my whole career. I mean, the kid is smart, and he can do about anything. And it's kind of fun to sit here and watch him take on a little bit of a leadership role and kind of rib him every once in a while about, man, I didn't think you were going to do this. You know, and he'll throw a few expletives in there. And tell me where to go and what I can do to myself. But
Go back to your old folks' home.
yeah, something like that. But it's
A little more vulgar.
yes, he's a charming young lad. But
He's smiling from ear to ear right now, though.
yeah.
he is.
But anyway, yeah, it's fun to watch, and you know, I mean, everybody does a great job. So
I assume that's a learning curve for y'all, you know, coming into that new role and letting go of the reins like that. You know, I assume that's not just a cakewalk every time, right?
I was going to say, is that hard to do? Is that hard to step back and allow those guys that weren't senior guys to be senior guys and to now lead the rookies? Is that a hard thing to do in the first place?
Yeah. Yes, 100%. Because exactly what.
Because not everybody is a leader.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not everybody knows how to do that just yet. And so I don't know if that just takes
not everyone's
time
had to do it before.
or had to, yeah. And so I don't know if you have to let them do it and allow them to like
Stumble?
that time to take to stumble and maybe fail, and then you step in and be like, hey, pull them aside or something. Be like, let's not do it that way.
Well, yes. So from that perspective, yes.
Okay.
That's. I mean, you kind of have to let them fall on their face a little bit and then be there to pick them up afterwards. But from the other side of that coin is you also have to kind of train yourself to, just like Larry said just a minute ago, is we want to be firemen. Like
Right.
that's what we signed up to do. Like I want to do it. We're doing the extrication training. Like I want to cut just like everybody else does. But I have to mentally take myself out of that and now be in the overseer role more so to give the commands and do what I have to do and let the guys who are going to be doing that on an incident do what they need to do. So it's challenging, and from 11 years as a paramedic, it's really hard when I have a brand new guy who's stumbling and trying to talk with a patient and can't get words out to stand there to stand there and be silent and let him stumble through doing his sample or whatever the case may be to get that experience and get that understanding of how to just talk with somebody who's sitting there who has a complaint. Like it's very difficult.
So I'm sitting back here listening to what you're saying, and it kind of hit me that what we're doing is we're trying to train people to replace us, because it's going to come down to the day to where, hopefully sooner for me than you, but where we're going to either retire or take another role or something like that, and we're actually mentoring and hopefully training and
No, go on.
and mentoring these guys and to be able to step into a role other than and give them some experience rather than going, here's your funny colored hat, go forth and prosper. Because that's kind of what happens in the fire service, whether you're, I'm assuming whether you're civil service or how we are, because that's how it's happened to me.
Yeah.
And kind of, I think that's how it happened to you. We have people we can go talk to, but it's like, here you go, have fun, and figure it out. You know, and I think that's indicative of our craft, but it's getting better. You know, I think we've started an officer development program. It's in its infancy, but all back to what you were saying, it was kind of hard because we want to get in there and do it.
Mm-hmm.
But if we don't, we're doing everybody, all the firefighters that we work with, a disservice because we're not giving them the chance to grow and
For sure.
and show what they know. Because
Well, kind of spinning off of that a little bit, like, so, you know, now you're an officer. Is there a bigger learning curve that y'all had to go through, whether it's stepping back or whether it's having to maybe have hard conversations sometimes, or whatever learning curve that y'all went through that was just like, it sucked, you know?
Yeah, the hard conversations is never pleasant.
Really?
They're things that have to happen. We all know that. And that is, I truly believe that that's probably something that comes more with the personality of the individual. Like it may come easier to you to just go and call somebody out and bring them to the side and just hash it all out right there. Or where some people don't necessarily like that confrontation and they have to figure out how to do it because now you're the boss. And
Right.
like if there's an issue that arises that stays at the company level and doesn't go any higher than that, like I'm the guy that has to take care of that or it does have to go higher than me.
Right.
So you figuring those things out is never easy, but I think for me it was still stepping back and being hands off, more hands off than I was.
Yeah.
same thing. At first, the stepping back and not being the fireman to go in there and do the work because it's fun.
Right.
Wouldn't be doing this job if I didn't want to get in there and do it. But the admin side is not my favorite.
Yeah.
I mean, doing the paperwork and doing the stuff that handling the stuff I'm responsible for, and that was still kind of a challenge for me. But it was really rough in the beginning. But it's getting better. It's just I enjoy being a captain, but I also enjoy being out there with y'all and doing fireman stuff.
Yeah.
So that was one of the biggest learning curves, and learning how to have those hard conversations.
Yeah.
And really learning that most people aren't just, if you'll sit down and tell them what you want or what you need from them, and I think probably they're a little more upset at themselves a lot of times than they are with you, because they're like, oh man, I didn't realize I was doing that. I let you down. And I think as humans, we typically don't want to let our I'm gonna say family, because I feel like we're a family. We don't want to let them down.
Yeah.
So that's something I've seen. I'm struggling to have a conversation with you, and you're beating yourself up because you let me down. You know, you disappointed me.
I'm trying to be mad at you right now.
Yeah, stop. And, and I think a lot of times I'm not mad. I'm disappointed because I know that person can do better.
Yeah.
And it's just like, for those of you that have kids, you know your kids can do better. You don't get mad at them. You're just very disappointed in their choices. But we still love you, and we're going to move on down the road.
Which hurts worse? It hurts worse when it's disappointment rather than mad. And like when I know when I disappoint somebody, man, I'm just like, God.
Yeah, it's way worse than
It hurts me so much more that I know that I disappointed them rather than they're just pissed. Like, I don't know. This gets to me a little more.
Anger's a feeling.
Yeah.
And that's an emotion that you know, you need to control that, because I know that I make horrible decisions when I'm mad, because this way gets ahead of this, and it's not good for either one of us. So
Is that something that you've had to kind of overcome in your being an officer?
yeah,
Time?
Because I've made some hellish mistakes towards people in my previous career when I was an officer before.
Yeah.
And that had an impact on me, which I'm like, God dang, these people still talk to me. So, and like I've told you, I wasn't the same person.
Right.
You know, and that's hard to look in the mirror and go, man, you were kind of a dick.
Yeah.
Not kind of, but you were.
Yeah.
For no apparent reason. These are good people. So
going back a little bit, do you feel like the relationships that you built with your senior guys and they came on as rookies, do you think that's helped you be able to step back when they need to step up and train new guys?
absolutely. I know that when I don't ever really have any reservations when something needs to get done, and I'm not able to, or I think it's better for a senior guy to do it, because the quality of senior guys that we have, especially on our shift, you know, and when we were working together, it wasn't an issue. I mean, it's kind of, I know when I'm off and you step up in my place, I don't think twice about it. I miss being at the Firehouse with y'all, but it's like they're doing fine. They're highly capable individuals, and you know, they don't need me because they're squared away. So I mean, it's the relationship is there because it's the trust. You know, we take the time. We know each other. We spend time together.
Train together,
sweat together, eat together, work out together, and that's, you know, since we're talking about rookies, I think that's something that I didn't understand when I got in the service, but I understand now, especially once I started working with y'all, that we have a very tight bond, and it's because we've had the experiences together, we've spent time together. I mean, we've all cried together, we've been mad together, maybe mad at each other together, but we built that bond, and it's not something you can just walk into the Firehouse and be a part of right off the bat. It doesn't mean we're going to exclude you, but we want, but you just haven't gotten there yet. And it's nothing against you. It's not that we don't like you. It's just that, man, we've been through some stuff, and I think that's sometimes hard for a new person to understand that we're not just shunning them, but it's just, I mean, dang, it's like going to a new school. I mean, you'll get there.
So how do you, I'm trying to figure out the best way to say this, how do you check those new guys when they come in and try to act like they're already a part of the boys? Is that something you do as an officer, or is that situation you would let your senior guys handle?
I think it's better that the senior guy does it, because y'all have a way of just kind of going, hey, don't do that, and it comes across different.
It's more of a corrective measure than it is a punitive measure.
Absolutely.
Where it comes from your supervisor and you don't have the negative inflection that comes with it. So it's more of like, oh man, I'm letting the guys down that I sat next to in the back seat, versus I'm letting the guy down that is in charge of me every single day.
Right. Yeah. Because I feel like even if you are, I mean, regardless of how you approach it, even if you're like trying to be buddy, I mean, just because of the rank, it's going to hit a little harder than if more of a peer was like, hey man, we don't do that here.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or like, let's just ease off. You haven't been here long enough, or, you know, something like that.
But y'all that's building a relationship though between y'all.
Right.
You know, you're taking like, hey, I'm gonna talk to you and we're gonna build this and I'm gonna teach you how to do it. So you're mentoring that person.
Yeah.
Even though you're kind of slapping them on the pee-pee.
Well, it goes back to just what he said just a minute ago about building that trust. Like you as a senior guy, you calling the rookie out on him already acting like he knows what's going on or whatever. Like now the rookie can look at that and be like, well, he's got my back. Like he's gonna let this. He's gonna to stop this before it ever gets to the lieutenant or to the captain,
Right,
or whatever.
yeah.
So like that's the building trust that he was just talking about, and I think that's one of the biggest things that we have to have in the fire service, no matter where you are, is the trust. And the only way that we do that is by building a relationship with them. Yeah. Like I have to know how you operate as a person so that we can have that mutual trust, no matter what we're doing.
Yeah. Well, so what ways do y'all as officers, what do you do to build those relationships with your new guys to make that bond strong? Like, is it more specifically like training, or is it more of like, you know, just like BSing around the station, or what's your methods?
I think it's probably a combination of a lot of different things. Like I don't know that I could pinpoint one specific time. I mean, just like Larry said, we work out together, we eat dinner together, and all of that time that we have spent together just to, essentially make small talk. And you can learn about their family or learn about their parents if they don't have their own family now, or just where they went to school. Like all of those things that let them kind of know, like, I'm interested in more about who you are than you just being somebody sitting next to me that we're going to go pull a hose off and fight this house fire together. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's more of a just all the way around, like getting to know them as a person. I think that's my goal with everybody. Like I want to get to know, if they have kids, like I want to know what their kids' names are. Like everything about them. Like the more I can know about them, the more that they know about me, the more that we have that understanding. It's creating that family.
Yeah. I love that you brought that up, because we've all worked with different crews, and you see the ones that you can tell that they don't have that that face-to-face family time, whatever you want to call it, that maybe your crew does. Yeah. And I don't know what it is, and you can't just sit there and think that I'm just going to, a relationship with this new individual is just going to happen if they get vetted. Right. You know, after a certain amount of time, then I'll have a relationship with them. Because if you don't try, they're not going to try. Right. And, with y'all talking about working out together, eating together, there is value in that. And it may just seem small, and a lot of people just, well, that's my time to be able to do my own thing, but, or like, we're not going to socialize with this guy because he hasn't been here long enough. Right. You know what I mean? But there's value in that relationship that you get with that person. So I'm really glad that you brought that up.
It's just taking time out of yourself to learn about the new guy that's coming in, and spending that time with him and making an effort to bring him in, and he's probably terrified anyway. So,
Oh, yeah.
and so
Yeah.
the more that he's brought into things, I think the more he'll relax, the sooner he'll relax.
And it works better for everyone. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because the more you learn about him, it's just like, oh, you know, if I hadn't have talked to him, I wouldn't know that he's like terrified of confined spaces.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
something that would be very valuable for me to know if we're running a call together.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you have anything else on that, Larry?
I just, sometimes it's just good to, especially from our perspective, if maybe they're having a bad day, just walk up, put your arm around them, just talk to them. Just say, hey, reassure them and let them know it's going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
We do have expectations, but, it's, I don't know. But I think you sent me something on Instagram, and I was looking for it today because it really hit home. This takes me back to way back when people would come in, be like, you got to prove yourself to me. Like, you have to earn my respect.
Mm-hmm.
And there was somebody, and I
I
remember,
saw that. I think I know what you're talking about.
and it was a guy teaching a class.
Yep.
And why don't we just give them the respect up front? And then if for some reason it gets lost, it's on them.
Let them lose it.
Let them lose
Yeah.
it.
Right.
And I think, man, I know people that work for other departments and been there a long time, been there a while through their rookie year, and people don't even talk to them. And that is like, you got to be kidding me, man.
Yeah.
And I think the rookie sometimes tends to get shunned or the crap jobs, and that's part of it. But giving them the respect that we would want, that was pretty kind of eye-opening for me, because when people want to be heard and seen and respected, especially as a man.
Yeah.
So even though they're young, doesn't mean they're not a man. They're a young man, but they're
Yeah.
a man, and they have the same wants and desires probably that we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just think, give them some respect and love on them, and I think you get a lot more with that than you do treating them like a dog.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because then you run the risk of falling into this perpetual cycle of like, well, I was treated like that. Why isn't he getting treated like that? You know
Right.
what I mean? And then now you have this culture out of nowhere that everyone's just like, oh, I just thought that's what we did.
Yeah, it's the way we've always done it, right?
Mhm.
Isn't that? I mean, that's like the motto of the fire service. That's the way we've always done it.
Yeah.
It's time that it changes, but it changes. This is what I've told my son. I was like, man, it starts down here on the bottom. You can affect all the changes you want as a chief and say, hey, we're not going to do that anymore. But, especially in a large department, you've got 20 stations, and you've really got 60 fire departments. 3 shifts and 20 stations. We're lucky we have 2, and we've got 6 fire departments. So you can affect the change, but, it starts with that young guy to go, maybe if I was treated bad, I'm not treating this next guy like that. I'm going to make the change.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so you say that is it possible to lead, up the chain as well as down?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
How do you do that? Like as a new guy coming in, how do you need to wait a while before you even start that, or do you start that day one?
I think you just lead by example. I mean, work hard, keep your nose down, learn, be a sponge. Like it's an old saying, God gave you 1 of these and 2 of these and 2 of these.
Yeah.
Use them accordingly.
Yeah.
And I think you've got a guy comes in or a girl comes in and works hard and tries. That's leading by example. So that's the informal leader.
Yeah.
And I think the informal or leader that leads up could be as effective or more effective than the person that leads, if you want to say, down the chain. And it could be as easy as having a hard conversation with somebody that's above you on the food chain.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they put their pants on just like we do. And we do just like anybody else. So y'all lead me every day by being an example or holding me accountable. Didn't want to work out the other day, and you're like, well, I don't want to work out.
I did not.
I'm like, well, crap, I'm not gonna let this guy outdo me. I'm gonna go out there and just.
Yeah.
And so.
Well, the cool thing you said, because I was not feeling. It was all cloudy and rainy, and I was like, just cuddle up on the couch, and you said, I'm gonna work out, and I was like, and you said, you know why? Because I don't want to, and I was like, all right, fine.
But if you hadn't wanted to, I'm not sure I would have.
And I did, and I'm glad though, because that was you leading me, and I didn't want to, but I know I needed to, and so.
But think about the junior man that's out there or girl that's out in the truck bay training on something.
Yeah.
You're inside doing whatever you're doing, and you hear the apparatus doors closing,
Mm-hmm.
and you hear saws or whatever running.
Yeah.
I mean, how many people are just going to sit in there and go, well, hope they have fun. You're going to drive your
mean,
butt out there and go
yeah.
to work
Mhm.
because, but that's them effectively leading you
Yeah.
to come out and train.
Yeah.
Even if it's something you've done 10,000 times, you still need the practice.
Yeah. That doesn't matter. I'll mess it up probably.
Absolutely.
I think that kind of to piggyback off of that, like it's more of a whether or not you think you have the abilities to be a leader or that you are an informal leader. Like everybody has that. Like it doesn't take really anything to do that.
Yeah.
You just have to make a conscious decision and do something that you may not be comfortable with or may not want to do right now, but like that's to answer your question.
Yeah.
Like to lead up the chain.
Up
like,
the chain, yeah.
It doesn't have to be somebody who's been here for 5 years as a firefighter and is now a senior or anything like that. Like day one, like I know that as I'm gonna get all the chores. I'm gonna have to do all that stuff. So it's 8 o'clock in the morning and I see that the trashes are full. Well, I start taking the trashes out.
Yep.
And generally, somebody sees somebody doing work and they're gonna go out there and see what's going
Help
on
out,
and
yeah.
probably help them out. So
Yeah.
that's on day one. Like they could be that leader
Yeah.
leading up the chain.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't take much.
Do you think it's possible for that to expand past just a company level?
Yes.
Does that make sense how I asked that? How I worded that?
Sort of.
So, like, let's just say,
I don't know.
so we've been hitting pretty hard on, like, firefighters, like, they can also have an effect on company officers or something within that company, but can that correlate outside of that company? So this company, your station, whatever, and y'all's group, can y'all effectively lead up to administrative level, different shifts, stuff like that?
I think you can, yeah. Like guys coming in or relieving you or whatever, like they could see the things that are happening, like the crew bonding times and the stuff like that. Like I think that it's possible. I think it might be harder just from looking at it and answering your question right off the cuff, like because we don't get that time to spend with them.
You
So
get 30 minutes maybe.
yeah, they don't get to see it nearly
Yeah.
as much. So I think it is possible, and like the administrative level, like they can hear stuff, and they probably do hear stuff that we don't even know that they know about. But hey, this group of guys is doing X, Y, and Z, and now the shift that's relieving them has started doing that same thing. Like admin's gonna know about that. So I think that it is possible, and that could be something that admin looks at and is like, yes, I'm very glad that they're doing that. Like nobody had to say anything. I didn't have to create a policy. I didn't have to do anything like that. And now we have these guys that are changing the culture, and they're doing something outside of our norm that we've done for who knows how many years, and we can continue to grow off of that.
Yeah.
So now it just sets that new bar, and we have
Yeah,
that new expectation, and it just continues to blossom from there.
Yeah, for sure.
That's cool.
That's good. Do you agree?
I do. I think that.
We're not getting married, no.
Oh. So, yes, I agree, and I think that it could start. I think the misconception, everything starts at the top, and I really think that you have to have certain values or whatever up here to allow it to happen, but when it starts coming from the first level to the second level, and then you get into admin, like you guys coming to me and having a conversation, and then I'll go to them and have a conversation, and opening up that line of communication. And fire service communication sucks. You look at NIOSH reports. What's one of the first things on there on a line of duty or an accident? Poor communication. And if even just a small little piece like that, if we can effectively change the open door policy and communicate better, I think that's leading by example, and it's probably going to go upward. But yeah, and you're talking about the crew change. I think we're seeing more and more face-to-face spending time with each other, because we're in the very infantile stage of our 24-hour shifts. And before, you may not even see the other crew.
Yeah.
And when you would be on duty and they would come and get rid of their stuff and go home, there were times you never saw anybody.
Yep.
I mean, we would always give each other a hard time, like, "Oh, you stuck up sucker," you wouldn't even come talk to us. And now, I know at our station, I mean, it's most of your first part of your morning, we're spent talking.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the coolest things for me is to step back and watch everybody hug each other by. Everybody's like, it's not like, "Hey, dude, see ya." Everybody gets a hug. Mm-hmm. And that's really, really good.
Yeah.
And I think that's leading from one crew to the next. And it's not just important to you guys, it's important to the other crew as well. And that's pretty sharp. So y'all affected change there.
Yeah. No,
And
cool.
even the officers are doing it. So I mean, that's,
Yeah.
I mean, and no, we're not getting rid of them either. But
Blake's like, we do not hug at Station 1.
we are not that way.
Yeah.
You send all the females to
I can
Station
concur
2.
that.
Well, maybe we just need to come over there and spend some time with y'all.
There's
No
people.
thank you.
There's people that get mad when we don't hug them. So.
Yeah, I mean, like when we come over and see y'all, everybody gets a hug when we leave. It makes some people uncomfortable, but it's, I mean,
It makes one person,
One guy.
one guy, and you know who
Turned
you
into
are.
a fight.
Yeah.
but
He elbowed me the other day, and it really hurt.
I mean, write him up.
Yep.
Okay.
Ride him up.
But to answer your question, 100%, you can lead up just as well as you can lead down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and we may be beating a dead horse, but continuing off of that, like just what he was saying earlier is you got these big departments and they got 20 stations. You got all these, in essence, you got all these different departments and stuff, but I've never heard of a fire department anywhere in the world that has more than one fire chief.
Mm.
So, yeah, he can affect change. He's the one at the top of the food chain. But realistically, when you look at it from a bigger perspective, the change starts with the Army. Like, the guys down at the ground level are the guys that can affect the change easier
Yeah.
because there's more of them.
More of them.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's very easy if you're, like I said earlier, just dragging knuckles on the fire scene or something to underestimate your reach and your influence within a place. And just like we've been talking about, I mean, that can just start with you.
Yeah.
Because if you just have, yourself together to where the fundamentals and stuff like that, like, gets noticed, like, maybe that's just, like, to your company officer, then they're like, man, that kind of makes me realize that I don't really have that together, or I need to work on that. And then at a company level, it's just being like, man, that shift, like, got a lot of stuff done and we didn't do anything last tour.
Yeah.
Something like that. I think it's very easy to kind of underestimate that.
So the biggest correlation that I see, and this may be a correlation, it may not be, but if you read mission statements, and that's what I'm going off of, the mission, they're, to provide the professional service to the citizens and protect life and all that stuff, and be highly trained, and you have to have the support. They have to mean it. Words are cheap, and your department has to give you the resources you need, and we're blessed in that respect where training is a big deal. It's not just words, but the admin or the department itself has to stand behind that mission statement and give the guys what they need, guys and girls, what they need to provide that service that they're saying they were going to provide. I mean, and I think that lets us do our job to support them, and then support y'all and give you what you need. And if you have that, it's great. And they support the training, and they actually push the training, and by push I mean they encourage.
Yeah.
It's a big deal, and I think we're really blessed. But if you don't have that, it's definitely a challenge, and that's where you could be that. We're gonna go back to where we just came from. You be that leader and push that change upward, and start with your company, whether you're a brand new hosman or whatever, and push that change up and make them live up to what they say.
Right.
And I think that's being that leading up the chain.
Yeah, I would definitely have to agree with that. There's got to be the support has to be there, whether that comes from admin or whether that comes from the company itself, and just pushing each other and striving to be better every day, and the stuff like that. Like, we just have to have that support system, just like we have our external support system outside of the fire service with our families and the relationships that we have with our crews outside. Like, just, it has to be there. The support's the biggest thing.
Would you say that the support that you're looking for when you were a firefighter in your company officers is the same now that you're a company officer and looking for that within your administration? Does that support kind of look the same?
Yeah, I think so. It may come across different, but I think the support is generally the same. Like, we have to, me supporting my guys is being out there with them and encouraging them to work as hard as we can and through the sweat and all this, all of the terrible times that we have to go through. Like, with the admin, it looks a little different because they may or may not be out there depending on what type of call it is, but they're still encouraging us. I can still go talk to them just like you can come talk to me about the issues that we're dealing with and the stuff that's going on, or, hey, I don't really necessarily feel comfortable with vehicle stabilization or whatever it is. Can you kind of refresh me on?
Thanks for looking at me right there.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, you do.
Refresh me on like what I need to do if this is going on or whatever. So I think it looks different, but it's still generally the same.
Kind of the same. Yeah. Okay.
You said something that really was really strong, is that, and it kind of makes me want to rethink what I said, but supporting our people, being out there training with them, because it is so easy, and we see it. The officer could find other stuff to do, whether it's admin stuff or whatever, and not train with your people, and it goes right down to the working out and eating together and spending that downtime together is training together, and you're actually supporting. You're being that link in the chain between the mission statement, the admin, and the crews that are doing the training. So it's very vital that we train with it, even if we don't necessarily enjoy the confined space training that we love. That I love.
I kind of wanted to, and I hope it's okay with you if I tell a story. But we did a confined space training thing where we had to go through the ladder and that fire fit. The bottom of it was terrible, but at the end, I can't remember if you just came on blacked out or popped your regulator. Do you remember?
Yeah, my old butt ran out of air.
Okay, was it out of air? Okay.
So I popped my reg.
Okay, so the cool thing was, though, is when you got done with that, I went over to you and you said, "Man, I hate that when I can't finish something or whatever." And I said, well, the cool thing is it doesn't really matter about that. It's that you're out here with us. Because it would have been very easy for you to find some computer work to do or whatever. And that, not that you don't have that, because I know you've got a lot of stuff to do, but the fact that you were out there with us, training with us, and sweating with us, and freaking out with us, or whatever it was, I thought that was really cool. And because you don't have to be.
Oh, I do. I mean, yeah, you're right, but it's
cool to me that you were out there.
Well, I mean, I think we're fortunate in our department where most of the time your officers are out there training. And I know this one is, unless it's something that has to be done right now, he's out there.
Yeah, and I really haven't seen y'all not out there. So
I mean, you have to depend on us just like we have to depend on you guys.
Right.
So, yeah, and it's hard to fail. Man, I hate failing. I'm competitive, and but it's okay to fail. It took me reading a few books and listening to some podcasts and some people that are way smarter than I am about this stuff, and realizing, it's okay for the guy that's supposed to know it all, which I don't, but to get out there and fail and show that it's okay. That's why we're doing this.
Yeah.
So
yeah, there's definitely a power in that humility that you show everyone, especially if you're the guy that's supposed to be instructing people what to do.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't want to be seen as the guy that knows everything and that will just give you an answer on everything and never fails at anything. Because if I work for that guy, then that is a huge level of stress, you know, that doesn't necessarily have to be there of being perfect.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and so when that stabilization, that scene, okay, we all know, okay.
Nate doesn't know.
He doesn't need to know. He wasn't there.
I stabilized the car that didn't do, okay, hang on a second. I didn't
No, he didn't.
stabilize
No,
the
he
car,
didn't.
and it didn't need to be stabilized, okay? It was just a bad deal. Anyway, there's no story for a different time. So it made me look like an idiot, right? And it embarrassed the shit out of me. But the cool thing is Braxton, I hope you're listening, it was really cool because he got to see me mess up, you know? And so I took that opportunity and I was like, I have only been here 2 years, and so just know that you still mess up and you're still going to get made fun of and you're still going to get a hard time, and that's okay. It's okay to mess up, okay?
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, oh. And I saw him go,
Kind of took a
Okay.
deep breath and relaxed a little
okay,
bit.
yeah. And so I was like, don't think that everybody's perfect, man. It's going to happen to anybody. And he was
Right.
like, okay. So it was cool after the fact.
Yeah.
But
It was comical during the fact.
it was comical during the
me.
fact. Yeah, for everybody but me.
But you won't do that. I mean, you'll think about that next time. I mean,
I hope so.
Still haven't forgot it now.
yeah, you
I
should
haven't.
still. It still
I
hits.
have not. So, but I mean, that's the part of learning is being embarrassed. I mean,
Yeah.
and I think that's the cool part about learning. So, but,
I think that's one of the biggest struggles that happens when you transition to the company officer role is that the fear of failure.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we all have it, no matter what our rank is, but it does get magnified when you are the guy that's in that front seat that
yeah.
is looked to for all the answers and everything. Like, it's definitely challenging to swallow your pride and go out there and do it. And if you mess up, own up to it, and you learn from it, and we work on it, and we get better.
Yeah.
And that's the only way that it happens. And I'm not gonna ever be able to know where I'm lacking if I don't go out there and train.
That's true.
So that I can find those weaknesses and then work on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. That's
Well, kind of going off of that, what does a leader's intent mean, and how do you implement that with your crews?
A leader's intent is just really the expectations, and the only way that I know how to implement that and relay that to my crew, whether it be a new crew that I go to or to a brand new guy that's coming in that's never worked, is I have to start at nothing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying that I'm just going to let him go off and do whatever he wants, but
Right.
I can't expect him to go take out the trash at 8 o'clock in the morning when he doesn't know that that's what we're supposed to do at 8 o'clock in the morning. So I have to reset and take a step back, and it happens every single time I get a new person, or I work with somebody new. Like, they come in and they have, just like if you came to work with our crew, like, you have your routine that you do with the guys that you work with, and we have our routine, and I can't just have you come into the group and then be mad at you because you don't do the same things that they're doing, because you don't know what they are.
Right.
So it's resetting back to zero every single time. And like I said, it's not saying that I'm just going to let them go off and do whatever, but
Yeah.
like I have to be there and explain the why. Going back to the very first question again,
Yeah.
explaining the why behind what we're doing and why we're doing it this way, because that's not how you do it, or that's something I've never seen before. So I think that's the biggest one for me, is to start fresh with them, and I can
Almost
talk to them and explain to them Okay, this is what a chainsaw looks like. Have you ever messed with one? Have you ever seen one work? Do you know what kind of gas it takes? Yeah, cool. I've done that because I have experience doing it because I used to work for an arborist company or whatever the case may be. And okay, now we can kind of skim over that and we can go on to the next thing. But
So almost lowering your expectation for their benefit.
I wouldn't necessarily say lowering my expectation because my expectation's the same and it's going to be the same for everybody because if I lower my expectation for a new guy coming in, then what are my guys going to think? Why is he getting it easier? You know what I mean? So I wouldn't say lowering the expectation. I just have to get him to the expectation.
Right.
Instead of just expecting him to be at the expectation.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's perfect.
That is really good.
And expectations is a key word, and I think that as long as you have clear set expectations, whether it's from us to the firefighters or from the firefighters to us, because I know that y'all have expectations of us, and I think if we keep those clear, and I think that is a leader's intent, that y'all are leading, and then we're leading as well. If we're at least have each other's intent, and we work together to come to a common ground, which most of the time they're pretty close. And I'll never forget, this was something big for me when I think you may have just started. I don't remember. We were in the classroom because I think Michael and I were officers, and we had that big meeting where it was on a weekend, I think, or whenever y'all we got all sat down, and then he and I stepped out, and then y'all had a meeting with a district chief, and then we all met again, and y'all had some expectations of us, and we thought we were doing right by y'all, and I think that we had our expectations, and we thought we thought we knew what they were, but we didn't understand the fact that y'all had expectations of us, and that was huge because we thought we were doing what y'all wanted because we assumed, and we know what that does, right?
What's it do, Capt?
It embarrasses us. And but y'all sat us down and go, hey, we understand what you're doing, but we really need this from y'all. And that was big because y'all had a hard conversation that I think you were very uncomfortable.
Yes, I was.
Because you were brand new.
Yeah, I was
what did I get into?
I'm just going to keep my mouth shut. I
But-
do that a lot.
But it was, I think expectations are big. I mean, it goes both ways.
Do you think that has to do with a lack of communication or just that you're assuming too much?
Both.
Okay.
Because, like I said earlier, in a previous life, I had expectations of people that I never communicated to them.
Yep.
And I stayed in a world of frustration and pissed off 99.99% of the time because it was my lack of communication on my expectations of them, and didn't give a crap what their expectations of me were.
Yeah.
So that was fun times.
Well, I think communication has a lot to do with everything. I mean, just like in our marriages, we're not communicating with our wives, and it's not going to be a good time, right? And I mean, we're only together 10 days a month, but we're there 24 hours, right? And so if we're not communicating, there's going to start to be, lags in communication and expectations and whatever. And I think that if you don't have communication, then your crew's going to struggle.
How many days go by that we're off that one of us doesn't communicate with the other on a group text or a phone call or text message?
I don't think that
dude.
there's one day that
She gets so frustrated. She goes, "Who are you texting now?" And all the time, I'm like, "It's either
it's the boys.
It's either to the boys for my shift or past shifts, or always talking to somebody."
Yeah.
From work.
And it may be some nonsense, but I think a lot of it is just, hey, I still think about you. We're on different shifts now, but we still communicate, and sometimes it's a little bit off color, but it's still going, hey, Nate, I haven't forgot about you, even though you went to the other shift and left us over here. And
yeah, y'all should read our text thread from earlier today.
No.
That's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome.
but communication's key.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think I kind of look at it just as y'all were talking just now. Like we're supposed to work as a team.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's 4 guys at each station, and we're supposed to be a cohesive unit.
Yeah.
And when there is that lack of communication, I kind of see it like 4 individuals that we're walking together, and then we start lacking communication, and this guy starts going this way, this guy starts going this way, and everybody just kind of does their own thing. And now we can't work as a cohesive unit because we're not working together. Like we're not under that same umbrella anymore. These guys have gone over here and are doing this because that's what their brain went to, and these guys are over here doing this, and I still have my expectation, and nobody's doing anything to accomplish the goal.
Yeah.
And it takes that communication, and sometimes we think that it might be redundant or we think that it's too much, but all you have to say is, nope, I got it. And cool. As long as we're on that same wavelength, then we can accomplish whatever we need.
So I feel like that happens so often, and then we're just surprised that when a goal isn't met or something, goes haywire on a scene or something like that, and it's just because, oh, well, I didn't even know what was going on. It's like, well, that would have been great to know, man. We're just surprised every time it happens, and we're just like, okay, well, we'll communicate that next time.
I do have a question. I know it's not on our paper, but I kind of wanted to know, how do you work with someone that is, difficult to work with, that is maybe complains a lot or still gets the job done that you're asking, but it's just always, complaining or being difficult? How do you either rein those guys or girls in or work with them in general?
I think it's that, to me, that reflects poorly on me as a leader, because now I don't understand them the way that, just like everything that I've already said, like I don't have that relationship with them. So I've got to stop and reassess and reevaluate that and try to build that relationship so that I can get them to buy into what's going on, to where we're at and what we're doing. And yeah, they may be a great worker and they may be still be able to get things accomplished, but there's still a disconnect somewhere. And
is that sometimes one of the hard conversations you have to have, of like, not necessarily like throwing out your boss man power, but like, hey, this is not what we're doing and you need to rein it in? Do you never have to do that, or?
I mean, yes and no. Like, it may work, it may not.
Right.
Like that's kind of one of those
iffy things.
Hard things that, yes, it's going to be a hard conversation no matter how it happens, whether it's because they're going through something in their personal life that they don't really want to talk about, or it's something going on at work that they're just not jiving with the rest of the guys and they don't necessarily care for this individual, or whatever the case may be. So I think no matter how you look at it, it is going to be a hard conversation, but it's one that if I kind of slow down and actually take that time, again, just like we do with a brand new guy and trying to build a relationship with them, like take that time to get to know what's going on and kind of peel back the layers that are covering all of that up to get to the root cause, and hopefully we can work forward from that point.
Yeah.
Like an onion.
Peel back them layers.
We're going to go there.
We'll make a full circle.
So I think you're 100% right, but also give them some buy-in, if at all possible. Let them try to have a voice in what you're doing. If nothing else, listen to them, and because we want to be seen, heard, and valued, and our opinions valued. Doesn't mean you're not necessarily going to go their way, but let them see, and like you're saying, here, where's that coming from? Because I don't think people are typically just aggravated people that want to just go against the grain. There are those people that want to just challenge everything that you're doing, but there's something under that onion skin. To be seriously, there's something under there, under that stinky, that Pigpen-esque aura they have around them. If y'all don't know Pigpen, go watch a movie. Or a show, I don't know.
Larry. Come back to it. Come on.
You're wondering off. I'm not sure where this is going.
Negative stroke scale. But there's something there, and I think, if, like you were saying, find out what it is, and then try to validate their feelings if you can, or what's coming from, and work from there. But so often we have change that's put on us that we don't have any say in. Whether it's, hey, what do y'all think? A lot of times you could fix that by, hey, what do you think? We may not go that way, but I want to hear what you have to say.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's sometimes where you hear the grumbles is when you just have stuff put upon you without a discussion.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just got to listen to them vent, because a lot of, like I said, they just want to be heard. And some of the hardest things for me, especially in a relationship, and with Heather, she'll just say, hey, she'll have something going on, and she'll start telling me something. And what's my first go-to? I want to fix it. She's like, hey, I don't want you to fix it. Just listen to me.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they just want you to listen. And maybe you can turn it around, maybe you can't. But, I mean, if you can't, that's pretty much on them as long as you try.
Yeah.
It's almost like sometimes you have to go in and be like, all right, before you even start this, am I here to fix the problem, or am I just here to listen to it?
Listen to
Like,
it.
that's, I kind of need to
Yeah.
know where we're going with this.
Need to know this up front.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Did y'all ever have any backlash at all, like when you fireman to officer, and you had like a buddy or whatever, and now you're their boss, and they're like,
You're not one of the
I don't-
boys
You're not
anymore.
one of the boys. I don't like that.
I don't think so, no. I don't think I ever had an encounter like that. And if I did, I would hope that they would come and talk to me about it. But I don't feel like I had any ill will or any hard feelings or anything. Like, I tried my very best when I made that transition, or when the transition happened, because I didn't do it, but to be the same person. Like, I don't, why would I change?
Yeah.
Like, I got this promotion, and I am now in this role because of who I was. So why am I going to be different now?
That's good. Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me. So I tried really hard, and I made that conscious decision when I was even going through the process. Like, I was not going to be different. I was still going to be the same Blake Wilson that I was, whether I'm a firefighter or whether I have that funny colored helmet on now.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be any different. And so I don't know whether that helped me but
Did you feel pulled back and forth because you're like, okay, I'm not going to change and everything, but in the same sense, I'm almost forced to change because now I have to have that outlook of the company officer in that area? Like, did you kind of feel that finding that balance was hard?
No, I don't. I couldn't say that I had any issues with that either. Like, I don't know whether I was an informal leader when I was a firefighter or not, but I feel like I was just able to make the transition, and then I never skipped another beat. Like, really, I think the biggest struggle for me, and we've covered it already, was the stepping back portion and not being so hands-on all the time, because that's what I want to do. And I think that was my big struggle. But
Yeah, no, that's great.
I think when you make that transition, it's kind of like when you're going through puberty. You're not really sure where you're going in life.
Yeah.
I mean, you're like, okay, I want to do this, but I want to do this.
how long ago was that?
Yesterday. But I don't. You're trying to find your direction as you're moving from a firefighter to a company officer, or just like you're going from a child to a young man, making that transition in your brain, and you're trying to figure out, okay, I know I'm not really truly one. I have to be this way, but I don't have to climb the fence. And they always say, well, if you ride the fence, you're going to get splinters in your butt. I mean, that's.
I love your analogies.
It's not mine. I just robbed it. But I think that's a delicate thing, because, yeah, I'm there. We're there to support the department as a whole, but at the end of the day, we have to take care of our people.
Yeah.
And I think by taking care of our people, we in effect take care of the department, because we're keeping things that don't need to go down here on the right level.
Yeah.
So, and it can be difficult at times, but it's just like understanding who you are and staying true to who you are, because really, truthfully, you don't change. You shouldn't change.
Yeah.
Right? You're still the same guy that you were, gal that you were the minute before you got the
And if you
promotion.
do, I mean, people will see it.
People will see right through you, and it's the same thing. It's, you know, when there's a promotion up for something, especially, you know, we're not civil service, so it's an interview process and everything. How people act after the fact that maybe don't get it says more about them than what they do when they do get it. Because, okay, well, you put on a facade to try to fool people, and, you know, firemen aren't dumb. You know, they can see right through you, and that's our job. We diagnose things, right? We try to fix it, so we can typically see right through it. So, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, it kind of goes the same with like rookies. You know, wherever you work, either you have a 6-month rookie or your rookie period is either 6 months, a year, whatever. And if you just work for a year, and then all of a sudden you're like, whew, you know,
It's over.
yeah.
Yeah.
So now I can let it off, and then like everyone's gonna see that. It's the same thing, you know, with a company officer. I imagine it's just if you change, like people are gonna see it, and they're gonna see right through if you're trying to be someone you're not.
And your integrity goes downhill. Yep.
So I got something to ask you. We got asked this a while back. Someone messaged us and asked us this question, and we gave our answer. So it was a topic he wanted us to mention on here, and I figured this is a great time to do it. So, what advice would you give someone who's at a department whose morale is suffering? So, like, what this individual is feeling stuck, but he's trying to figure out what he can do for his department because morale is so bad.
I would say one of the biggest things that would benefit everybody, and it's not going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination, is to just be the motor, get things going, be that person that can affect change at the bottom level, no matter what their rank is. But it's going to get tiring. It's going to be hard to always be the one pushing your crews to, hey, let's go train, or hey, let's work out, or whatever the case may be. But you just have to stay on it, and it may take new guys coming in for some more people to get on board with that. But I think that just constantly having that drive and that ambition to make the department better and build the morale and all of that stuff, like, you have to, somebody's got to start it.
Yeah.
Because if we don't, like, nothing's ever going to change.
Yeah, right.
So,
Stay the same. Yeah.
but it's not going to be easy at all.
Be the
because-
thorn in that department's side.
But everybody's gonna talk bad about you, and like, you're gonna have all of that, the heartache that comes with that, and the thoughts of, well, I mean, I've been doing this for a year now and still nothing has happened. So should I just give up because it's useless, or whatever the case may be? But you just have to if that's what needs to happen, it needs to happen. And until you get buy-in from the other people that are there with you, like, it's just going to be you. But as long as you continue to do it, eventually, and like I said, it may be new guys coming in that
Right. Yeah.
they enjoy that
see
now,
that
and
change,
so
or they see the
now we
numbers.
slowly start to increase the department's numbers by personnel, and there's a select group now of new guys that are doing it. But that's my opinion.
And which people or which type of people are people going to gravitate to? I'm going to gravitate towards the guy that's the light, positive guy that's just got his head down and working. And like you said, eventually it may take some time and it may get frustrating, but just keep doing what you're doing. You know, don't let other people negatively impact your love for the job. And I was listening, and I think you probably heard this the other day on a podcast, that, you know, you've got the people that are disgruntled and they say they hate their job or whatever. There's two different things. You've got the fire service over here that you revere and you love. You love the fire service and everything it stands for. Or maybe you have a toxic department, but don't let it kill your love for the job. So be that change, like Blake said. Be the change, and if it gets too much, then hopefully you can find another option, another department. But it's worth sticking it out and being the change, because like we said earlier, the change starts really at the bottom and goes up. So don't quit. If you love your job, love the fire service, don't quit.
Yeah.
Don't let anybody steal your joy. That's what I tell my daughter. Don't let anybody steal your joy.
So you're saying, try to stick it out, but don't get to the point to where you hold a bitterness for what you love
Exactly.
to do.
Yeah. It's don't let other people's negativity affect your love for the job, because
Right.
the fire service is not wronging you. If you're being wronged, it's by people in your organization or people you're around. Don't let them ruin your love for this. And it's like being having friends that their marriage is crap. Don't let their relationship ruin your relationship with
Right.
your wife.
Yeah.
So, just be the light. Don't let anybody steal your joy, because remember why you took the job.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening. We really appreciate everybody that's reached out and commented or asked questions. We do want to let you know, next episode we're going to be diving into some mental health stuff. It's going to get pretty raw. So if you don't want to listen to some of that, then probably find a different podcast. But you can comment and reach out on all our social medias: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok,
All the things.
YouTube. So all the things. But so Captain's going to take us out. So go ahead, Cap.
All right, y'all train hard, keep pushing, and we are back in service.
Okay, 181, engine 14, engine 4, squad 1, truck 1, structure fire.
We got West Fire out on a fire at the West Fertilizer plant. They just advised that something exploded